To create a model in Kraken, you'll start by creating a new project. Think of a project as a folder where you can work on multiple related analyses. Once you've created the folder, you have the opportunity to rename it at the top left. Let's call ours Customer Churn. You'll now see three options. The first is to create a new analysis, which we'll be back to in just a second. The second is to use our Getting Started guide, which is support documentation on how to use Kraken. And the third is to collaborate with colleagues. Here you can invite other Kraken users from the same organization. Let's start a new analysis. The first step is to name your analysis. We'll be looking at customer cancellation, so we'll call our model Customer Cancellation. Next, you'll connect to your data source. If you've already uploaded any CSVs or connected to any of your data sources using our Kraken connectors, you'll see that list, any of those data sources listed here. If you haven't yet connected anything or uploaded, you can also choose to upload a CSV file here. We're going to choose our cancellation history. Once you've selected the dataset, you'll see a list of columns as well as some summary statistics, which will vary depending on the type of data in each column. You can also change to a table view if you'd like to preview your data. Once at this phase, the first thing you're going to want to do is choose your target. You can do this by selecting the pink target on the left side. So we're going to look for canceled and select our target. Once you select your target, you'll notice that the other boxes here all turn to green check marks, where you can choose to include or exclude specific features in the model. You can also use the include all or exclude all at the very top. You'll notice that there are some features that are automatically grayed out. For example, account ID for high cardinality, country because there's only one, or for example, phone model because there are too many nulls. You can hover over these triangles for an explanation of why they're being excluded. You'll also notice that the pipeline section appears on the right side. So here you'll see your target as well as the algorithms that will be run, so you can open that up if you'd like to see. And a reminder of the pre-processing steps that Kraken is going to take once you hit Analyze. If you had a date column in your data set, over here is also where you'd see the option to choose between a regression or a time series model. In addition to the automatic cleanup that Kraken will do for you, you do have the option to use pipeline steps to update your data. You can click the three dots and you'll see a list of options. If you accidentally selected the wrong target, you can select the new target here. You could exclude from the analysis, which is the same as on clicking those checkboxes on the other screen, or you can perform some cleanups. For example, here we could filter territory to does not equal Rhode Island, and then hit apply. And you'll see that your data preview has updated to exclude rows where the territory is Rhode Island. In addition to cleaning up the data, you can also use our data exploratory data page to visually explore what your data looks like. So for example, we could look at the different plan types. So you'll now see blue, green, purple, red plans along the bottom. You can color by your target if you'd like. So we'll color by canceled and sort by canceled. And now we can take a quick visual inspection to see that a lot of our cancellations are coming from a red plan. You could also use this to select two different features and kind of see how they interplay with each other. You can then, once you're done exploring, go back to your data preview, either with your data view or your schema. You can double check that all of the pipeline steps for data prep that you have been included. And then once you're ready, you can go ahead and hit Analyze. Once Kraken has finished running all the algorithms, you'll see four cards: driver influence, which will show you which features are most important; your fit, which compares how well your historical data compares to your predicted data; your target correlation, where you're comparing each feature. You're seeing the correlation between each feature and the target you've selected; and correlations, where you're going to see the pairwise correlation between every set of features. So you can click into any of these to see more and toggle between them along the top here. You'll also now see your score, which will depend on exactly what type of model, but for a binary classification like this one, you're going to see your F1 score. And you can also dive deeper into our model metrics page to better understand how well the model is doing at predicting. Model metrics shows you a list of algorithms that were trained, as well as the scores for each algorithm based on the holdout training data. The exact scores shown will vary depending on the type of model, for regression versus classification example, but you can always click on any algorithm to get some more information. In the case of binary classifier, you'll get your confusion matrix, your threshold, your hyperparameters, and then across the top, a few more metrics that were not shown on the previous page, as well as the metrics that were shown on the previous page. You'll notice that there's two lines of metrics, your holdout and your train. The holdout are the same metrics that you saw on the previous page. This is from the data that was held out and not used in training, so you can see how the model would predict on brand new data, and then the train data right below is the metrics coming from the cross-validation. When you're ready, you can go back to your model results page. Kraken will automatically select the model with the highest score, but you can choose to override this if you'd like, so let's select random forest and head back up. We may look through our driver influence or our correlations and decide that we want to change some of the features that we're using. So that next step would be to go to refine and create a second version of this model. So once we hit refine, we'll come back to this page where we can, for example, choose to exclude territory, customer tenure. We could also add additional pipeline steps, and you still have the option to preview your data or use the data explorer. Once we've made the updates we want, we can create a second version and the Kraken will train again. And you'll now see that we have version 2. It hasn't replaced the previous model, so if we click into any of our cards, we now have the option to toggle between the two different versions we've made, or we can choose to compare. It'll automatically select 2 if you only have 2 versions, but if you have more than 2, you can use the drop down to compare whichever 2 versions you want. You'll be able to compare the score and then the driver influence, or you can still toggle to your fit correlation, target correlation, and down to your model metrics for this new algorithm. Notice that the new version did again select the highest score, so we can choose to accept this, or again we could override and choose a different algorithm to be paired with that version. We'll head back up. Once you have a version that you're happy with and you're ready to apply, we can start to make our predictions. So you can choose dataset right here. It'll take you select your new dataset, but before you do that for the first time, we recommend that you go to this deploy tab, because here you can see which model version is selected. So by default, your first version is going to be published. So if you've created more versions and you've made updates and you want your version 2 to be the model that's the version that's applied, you'll want to publish that version here. You also have the option to rename versions here to help yourself stay organized. Once you've made sure you've selected the right version, now we can choose predict dataset and choose a dataset that we can again upload with our choose file, or that we'll have already loaded from a previous data connection. So when we're ready, click predict. Kraken will verify the schema, and then you'll have a prediction. You'll notice that in this prediction section, you now have 2 new cards. You have first card, which will show you the outcome for the predicted outcome for the data set. So in this case, it's predicting that 89% of customers in the predicted data set will not cancel and 11% will. You also have the scenarios card. If we click into scenarios, here you can change high level metrics. So you could say, well, I want to change, what if I increase my base fee and at the same time maybe I made a big push to convert more people to the purple plan. So you can basically make a couple different changes within the range of your data set and then run your scenario to see what the model predict. So those actually did not change anything. So we can say, what if we increase our base fee a lot more and push people away from the purple plan. Now Kraken is predicting that if we did those two things on aggregate, would then result in a change from 11% customer cancellation to 16%. You'll also notice that for predictions that you have a label that's telling you what your target was, what data set you used, what algorithm you used, and what versions you used. Once you're happy with the predictions you've made, you have the option to download using this download predictions button, which will download a CSV. Or if you have connected through a data provider connector that's not a CSV, you have the option to come and edit, and you'll see a toggle here to turn on the prediction to put the data back into wherever it came from. So if you connect it from Snowflake for your prediction set here, you can sync it back to Snowflake. You also have an option for an API key and URL if you wanted to be able to access the data that way. Finally, you do have the option at this point again to share by invite someone. You also have the option to create a new analysis. So if you hit this green pink button, you can create prediction, which is the same as what we just did, or you can start a new analysis. We'll call this cancellation 2. Hit next. You can choose a different data set, choose your target, maybe select some different features, analyze, and you'll now see that you have cancellations 2 up here. You can always toggle back to your original, and you can have as many analyses as you want within your project folder.